A grand yet suffocating wedding hall. The air is heavy with expectations, business alliances, and forced smiles. Guests whisper about the merger between two powerful families, but amidst all this, there's just the two of you. You stand at the altar in an elegant white dress, hands delicately clutching the bouquet, heart pounding not from nerves but from the weight of what this marriage means. Jungkook, standing across from you in a perfectly tailored black suit, looks breathtaking as ever. His dark brown eyes meet yours, holding an unspoken message. He doesn't look cold, he doesn't look distant, he looks at you. And in that moment, you know, even if this marriage was forced by your families, you are not unloved. When the priest asks Jungkook if he takes you as his wife, he doesn't hesitate. Jungkook in a firm and steady tone, I do. And when your turn comes, your voice is just as sure, I do. Soft but certain tone. The rings slide onto each other's fingers, warm skin brushing for a fleeting second, enough to send a silent promise. Jungkook's grip lingers just a little longer than necessary before he lets go. No one notices except you. Later that night, two of you enter your new home, a luxurious penthouse gifted by your parents. The moment the door closes behind you, an unfamiliar stillness settles between you. You expect awkwardness, hesitation, but instead, Jungkook softly looking at you, are you tired? He asks. Your eyes widen slightly. Not do you need space, not this is just an arrangement, just are you tired like he cares. A little, you reply in a warm tone. He nods and without another word, he walks into another bedroom and returns with a blanket. He gently drapes it over your shoulders and steps back, not too far, not too close. Your fingers brush against the fabric, heartbeat fluttering. He watches you carefully before speaking again. His tone genuine yet hesitant. You don't have to feel uncomfortable. I know this marriage wasn't our choice, but he pauses, breath hitching. I want you to know that I will never hurt you. The way he says it, so sincere, so full of unspoken emotion, it hits you differently. You stare at him, something shifting in your chest. You smile softly, voice gentle. I know, Jungkook. And that moment you realize, even though your marriage was forced, your hearts had already chosen each other. Time passes, and while the world thinks of your marriage as a business deal behind closed doors, it is something else entirely. Jungkook is never distant. He remembers your favorite foods, brings you small things that remind him of you, and always ensures you're comfortable in any situation. You take care of him too. You remind him to rest, make his morning coffee just the way he likes, and wait for him to come home even when he works late. There are no grand love confessions, but it's in the little things. The way he pulls you aside when you're wearing heels on an uneven floor, the way you adjust his tie before he leaves for work, the way his eyes soften when he sees you after a long day, the way your heart never stops racing when he's close. But the words remain unspoken. Neither of you says I love you, neither of you admits the truth. 2 years into marriage, you decide you're ready for the next step, a family, a baby. Jungkook doesn't object. If anything, his eyes light up at the thought. Because he loves kids, generally. But months pass and nothing happens. Then comes the hospital visit and the news that destroys you. You sit on the hospital chair, hands clenched in your lap. The doctor's words echo in your ears. It's unlikely you'll be able to conceive naturally or at all. Jungkook sits beside you silent. You turn to him, searching his face. Does he blame you? Does he regret this marriage? But he says nothing. He just reaches out, grasping your hand gently, holding it as if it might break. And that silence is what hurts the most because love was always there. But was it strong enough to survive this? You and Jungkook have come for a formal family dinner, just another night of forced conversations and keeping up appearances. You sit beside Jungkook at the long dining table, pushing the food around your plate, unable to eat. Your appetite has been non-existent ever since the diagnosis. Jungkook notices. Even while conversing with his father, his hand briefly touches yours under the table, softly, reassuringly. A silent, are you okay? You manage a small nod, though the weight in your chest remains. After dinner, you excuse yourself to get some fresh air, but as you make your way towards the back garden, voices from the study catch your attention. Jungkook's mother, her tone is sharp, urgent. You pause, the door is slightly ajar. You shouldn't listen, you know you shouldn't, but then Jungkook, it's time to think realistically. Her voice is low and serious. You freeze. About what, mom? His tone is calm but confused. She sighs, a child, and hair for this family. Her tone blunt. Your blood runs cold. You step closer, heart hammering against your ribs. You have tried for 2 years, and now we know she can't have children. What's the point of dragging this marriage on? Her voice is firm and insistent. No, your fingers clutch the doorframe as pain slams into you like a tidal wave. Divorce her, Jungkook. You're still young. You can marry again. Have a child with a woman who can actually give you one. Her voice is soft but no less than cruel. Tears burn in your eyes. You can't breathe. But what hurts more is the silence that follows. Jungkook doesn't immediately deny it. He doesn't instantly shut her down. He says nothing. He remains quiet. You turn and walk away fast before the sob building in your throat escapes. Your vision is blurry as you reach the garden, your fingers curling into your dress. You thought, despite everything, Jungkook would fight for you, but his silence, it speaks louder than words. Time skip. It's been days since that night at the John mansion. You haven't spoken about it and Jungkook hasn't mentioned it either. But something has shifted between you two. An invisible wall thick with unspoken words. Jungkook still cares. He still holds you at night, still pulls you close absent-mindedly. But there's a hesitation in his touch now, a distance that wasn't there before. And that distance is you. Jungkook steps out of the shower, ruffling his hair with a towel, his damp hair falling over his forehead. You haven't eaten much today, he speaks in a soft tone. You're sitting on the edge of the bed, fingers gripping the hem of your sweater. You don't meet his gaze. I wasn't hungry. Your voice comes out detached and low. He sighs, rubbing his temple. He looks tired, probably from overworking, probably from overthinking. You hate that you're adding to it. Silence stretches between you two, heavy, suffocating. Then before you lose your nerve, you can do it with someone else. You whisper. Jungkook stills. What? Your nails dig into your palms, heart pounding so hard it hurts. You force yourself to sound strong. You can have a child with someone else through surrogacy. A sharp inhale. You finally look at him and the way his face shifts, the way his brows knit together in disbelief makes your throat tighten painfully. Jungkook replies slowly as if he misheard. You are okay with that? You nod, even as your eyes blur with unshed tears. Because this isn't about what you want, it's about what he deserves. What his mother said still echoes in your head. You can't give him a child, and if that's what he truly needs, then you'll break your own heart to give him that chance. Jungkook doesn't say anything at first. He just stares at you, his jaw tightening, his hands curling into fists at his sides. If that's what you want. His voice is careful and slow. It shatters you. You expected him to refuse, to say it doesn't matter, to say you are enough, but he doesn't. And that silence feels like confirmation that maybe deep down he does want this. Your heart sinks, but you force yourself to smile. You hollow laugh. Yeah, of course. Jungkook nods slowly, though there's something unsettled in his expression, something hesitation, something like a doubt. But you don't wait for him to think it over. You quickly stand up, blinking away your tears before they fall, your voice barely above a whisper. I'm going to bed. And without another word, you turn off the bedside lamp, burying yourself under the blankets before he can see you break. Time skip. The morning sun filters through the curtains, but the warmth doesn't reach you. You're sitting by the window, knees pulled to your chest, eyes staring at nothing. You barely slept last night. Your chest feels hollow, your body heavy, but you tell yourself this is fine. If Jungkook really wants this, then you'll endure it. But deep inside, your heart is breaking in ways you never thought possible. You hear the door open behind you. You don't turn. Jungkook pauses at the doorway, a fresh cup of coffee in his hand. He was going to offer it to you, a small peace offering after last night, but then he sees your reflection in the glass window and his breath catches in his throat. Your eyes, red rimmed, hollow, the kind of sadness that hurts to look at. And your shoulders, you're shaking. That's when it hits him. You're crying, not just crying, you're breaking, and it's because of him. Jungkook doesn't even think. The coffee cup clatters onto the table as he moves toward you, his voice urgent. Hey, he calls out in a soft and desperate tone. You quickly wipe your face, forcing a small fake smile before facing him. Morning, you say quickly. Jungkook's stomach twists. He sees it now. The cracks, the pain, the unbearable weight you've been carrying alone. He sits beside you on the couch, closer than usual. His hand reaches for yours on instinct, but you flinch slightly before covering it up by standing up quickly. You force a casual tone. I was just thinking about how we should start looking for someone for the surrogacy. His entire body stills. There's something about the way you say it. Like it's a duty, like you're preparing yourself for something painful. Jungkook frowns, trying to understand why it feels so wrong. Why does it feel like you don't want this at all? Are you sure? He asks hesitantly. You nod too quickly. Yeah, it makes sense, right? It's not like I can. Your voice falters, but you cover it up with a laugh. And your mom was right. You deserve to have a child, Jungkook. You love kids and you should. Jungkook feels something sharp twist in his chest. Your words feel off, forced, like you're trying to convince yourself, not him. Your voice drops, so quiet it's almost a whisper. I know she told you to divorce me. Jungkook's breath stutters. The air between you shifts, the fake casualness disappears, and suddenly everything makes sense. Your sadness, your distant smile, your words last night. You didn't suggest surrogacy because you wanted it. You suggested it because you thought you had no other choice, because you thought he would leave you otherwise. Jungkook's entire body goes rigid as the realization slams into him. He lets out a shaky exhale, running a hand down his face as guilt crashes him. Before you can walk away, Jungkook grabs your wrist, not forcefully but desperately, as if letting go of you would mean losing you forever. Don't you dare say that again. His voice breaks. You blink at him in shock. His expression is raw, open, completely unguarded in a way you have never seen before. His hands are trembling as they come up to cup your face, his thumbs brushing away the stray tears you didn't even realize were still falling. He whispers in a hoarse tone, I don't want a surrogate. I don't want a child with someone else. I don't want anyone but you. You stare at him stunned. As his forehead presses against yours, his breath uneven. You were never the problem, Vayan, and I should have told you that sooner. His tone is painful but soft. And I agreed to you last night because I thought you wanted this for me, he says, looking into your eyes. Your chest tightens painfully. His words, so raw, so real, make the dam you built inside you crumble. A choked sob escapes your lips as your arms wrap around his waist, holding on to him like you're afraid he'll disappear. Jungkook exhales shakily, wrapping you up in his embrace, as if shielding you from every cruel word, every fear, every doubt. And for the first time since hearing his mother's words, you let yourself believe that maybe, just maybe, you were always enough for him. For the first time in weeks, the weight on your chest feels lighter. The warmth of his embrace reminds you you're loved, you're wanted, and you're enough. And Jungkook, he's never letting you doubt that again. Time skip. The mansion looms in front of you, but today it feels like a battlefield. Jungkook's hand is wrapped firmly around yours as he leads you inside. You hesitate, your heart pounding, but he squeezes your fingers in silent reassurance. His grip tells you everything. Trust me. You do. You always have, but today you're afraid. Because this is his mother, the woman who gave him life, the woman who wants you gone. And Jungkook, your Jungkook, is about to go against her for you. The moment you both step inside the lavish living room, his mother is already seated on the couch, sipping her tea gracefully. Her sharp gaze lands on you first, then at your intertwined hands. Her lips press into a thin line. Jungkook doesn't give her the chance to speak first. We need to talk, his tone firm. His mother sighs, placing her teacup down with a soft clink. She looks at him with the same calculated coldness she always does when she is displeased. His mom cuts him. If it's about what I said the other day, Jungkook, I was only thinking about your future. Your heart tightens. She doesn't even deny it. She truly believes you should be out of Jungkook's life. Jungkook, however, doesn't flinch. His jaw tightens, and for the first time, his mother sees it, the fire in his eyes. No, you were thinking about yourself, about the family name, about an heir. His tone calm but deadly serious. His mother's expression shifts slightly, only for a second. A flicker of surprise that her son, the one who always followed the family's wishes, is finally pushing back. His mom scoffs. You say that now, Jungkook, but one day you'll understand. A family is not complete without children. You deserve that happiness. And what about her happiness? Jungkook cuts her off. Silence. Your breath catches as Jungkook's grip on your hand tightens. His voice raises slightly. Did you ever think about that? Did you ever once think about what this did to her? How did it make her feel? His mother purses her lips, her gaze cold. She's strong. She'll move on. Your heart drops. But before you can say anything, Jungkook lets out a bitter laugh, shaking his head. He loses it. His voice comes out, not just frustration, not just anger, but love. Raw, undeniable, and unwavering. I love her. Your breath stutters. Even his mother looks caught off guard for a second. But Jungkook isn't finished. I have always loved her since the day we got married. Maybe even before that, when the alliance got finalized. His voice becomes more stronger now. His voice trembles, but his eyes are steady as he looks straight at his mother. And if you think I would ever replace her, you never really knew me at all. A thick silence blankets the room. His mother stares at him, truly seeing her son as a man for the first time. A man in love. A man who has made his choice, and she realizes she has lost. He gives his final word, voice unwavering. If having an heir means losing her, then I don't want one. Your chest tightens painfully. Jungkook exhales, his voice softer but full of conviction. We will have a family, whether it's just the two of us or a child we adopt. Whatever it is, it will be ours. His gaze hardens, but it will never be with another woman. Never. His mother remains silent, her expression unreadable, but she knows now. Nothing she says will change his mind. Jungkook finally turns to you, his expression softening as he gently pulls you closer. You are my family, Vayan, that will never change, he says to you in a soft and reassuring tone. And that's when the tears finally spill from your eyes. Not from the pain this time, but from the overwhelming, breathtaking relief that he chose you, that he will always choose you. He cups your face, pressing a lingering kiss to your forehead as his thumb brushes away your tears. And as his arms wrap around you, holding you close in front of his mother, you know, no matter what happens from here, you will never have to fight for his love again, because it was always yours.